It made me cry.
This one's wife. I had cancer too, but couldn't tell you. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. As I've explained to you, this one's wife sees the world through a distortion field. Her narcissism causes her to see events in a different way to that which everybody else has seen them. She has her own version of reality. She often talks about her truth, not because she realizes that she sees the world differently, but because she believes that what she sees is more important than anybody else. And with typical grandiosity of the narcissist, she wants to suggest that the truth belongs to her, that she is right about what she says, therefore her version of events is that which must be believed, and if you disagree with her, well, that's your truth, but you're wrong. The arrogant and high-handed manner of the type of narcissist that this one's wife is. You will have also noticed that as a consequence of the fact that she looks through this distortion field which aids her with regard to the pursuit of the prime aims, there have been frequent occasions where she tells us about something that has occurred, but never at the time that it actually did happen, or purportedly happened, but afterwards. For instance, in the Oprah interview, she suggested that she was experiencing mental health issues, so that she was suicidal. And yet, the point at which she was supposedly suicidal, the evidence demonstrated that she attended an event and looked happy as Larry. Now, of course, we all know that there are many people who have taken their lives and people didn't realise that they were feeling suicidal, that they didn't speak out about it. But with this one's wife, not only was it the case that she attended the Cirque du Soleil event, looking like the cat that had got the cream, but furthermore, her complaint that she wasn't able to access any help didn't stand up to scrutiny. She was pregnant at the time and therefore would have been in the care of medical professionals, and therefore any concerns with relation to her mental health could have been addressed to them and they would have referred her to the relevant person. Her husband, who has repeatedly acted as an advocate in relation to mental health, would also, were she to confide in him or him to see her behaving in a particular way, would have been able to make recommendations. He would also have been able to seek out help within the royal household. Furthermore, the fact that he had experienced problems with his own mental health through the years following dalliances with drugs and particularly as a consequence of the loss of his mother at an early age meant that he was well acquainted with access to services and would be able to point her in the right direction. Furthermore, this was not an 18-year-old woman who was being kept under lock and key, but a mature adult who had spent life in the world away from the infrastructure of the royal family, who had to fend for herself to some extent, and therefore was similarly perfectly capable of picking up a telephone after looking at Dr. Google and finding help for herself. Accordingly, her protestation about not being given help and not being able to access it simply did not stack up. And yet, she persisted in this narrative. When she was interviewed by Tom Bradby, we got the pity play. Nobody asked me if I was okay, but nothing was said at the time. It comes out at a later juncture. In the Oprah interview, the allegations about the royal racists, nothing was mentioned at the time, nothing was leaked about such behaviours, which called into question whether it actually occurred. And thus, time and time again, we have seen with this one's wife a habitual revision of history that is undertaken at a later juncture in order to make a situation appear as it did, in order to help her control the now. In the past, nobody asked how I was. Feel sorry for me now. In the past, nobody supported me with regard to my mental health. Feel sorry for me now and be angry at the royal family. In the past, people queried the race with regard to the skin colour of my son. Feel sorry for me now and also dislike the royal family now. Always conveniently after the event and often some time afterwards as well. This is because so many things did not actually occur, and this one's wife's narcissism takes those events and skews them at a later juncture. We all are aware, of course, of the news of the diagnosis of the Princess of Wales of having cancer, and how that has infuriated this one's wife, C. Parts Passim, with regard to the fact that she has been overshadowed, as there has been an outpouring of sympathy for the Princess of Wales, along with support. I'm making a prediction. I'm making a prediction based upon the fact that this one's wife is a narcissist. I'm making a prediction based upon her need for fuel and control. I'm making a prediction based upon the repeated revisions of history that she has undertaken in the past, that at a future point, most likely I would suggest, through the writing of her memoir, that she will suggest that she had a cancer diagnosis way back when she was involved with the royal family, and that she wasn't allowed to speak out about it, that it was hushed up. That she will draw a comparison with the support that has surrounded the Princess of Wales and said, I had to deal with it on my own, with just Harry for support. I received medical attention, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it. I was once again silenced by the powers that be. You see, she cannot stand the fact that there is a medical emergency in relation to Charles, which has elicited sympathy and support, and furthermore, she cannot stand the fact that there has been a medical issue surrounding the nemesis. In typical unimaginative manner, this one's wife will need to invent that she suffered some form of crisis. We've had the miscarriage. We've had the instances of supposed mental health difficulties. We've had her being the victim of supposed racism. Now she will mimic the medical situation, and it might be cancer, it might be something else. But I'm predicting at a future point, when she sits down and she decides to write that book, and she will, because she can't resist the opportunity that's presented by it to smear people, to control them, and to make money from it, that she will tell the world that I too had a cancer diagnosis, and I was lonely and I was unsupported, but once again the royal family let me down. They didn't allow me to speak about it. I was silenced. I was told at the time that it wasn't appropriate for such information to be shared, and then yet look what Kate did. She went and told everybody, and look how everybody reacted to it. It simply isn't fair, and now I must stamp my cloven hoof. Owing to her need to mirror, owing to her need to control, owing to her need to draw fuel, owing to her lack of imagination, owing to the fact that as a mid-range narcissist she regularly loses pity plays in the revisions of history, I see that at that future point, most likely when she sits down to write that book, we will learn of some medical issue, possibly cancer-related, but a medical issue in the future will be reported on that's brought up from the past to suggest that not only was she unwell, but she was unsupported and indeed silenced. Watch this space for it. Wait to see that it comes out. Do you agree with me, based upon her previous form, that this is something that is likely to happen? Or do you disagree? Do you think she will go along these lines? How do you think she will release this information? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.